Hey everybody, it is Zach here from the Ed Boys, and welcome to my OSRS Top 10 Skilling Moneymakers. This is going to just be my personal top 10 favorite, not just the 10 skilling money-making methods that make the most money. If I did it that way, this would just be packed with rune crafting, honestly. For me, skilling has been what I've used to make a lot of money early on my accounts that I've made up to this point. I've done a few Road to 100 Mil series, including one that is still in the works, and they mostly have been featuring skilling moneymakers. I don't think skilling is a good option for getting rich quick by any means, but there are some good skilling moneymakers out there with a good balance, not only in making cash, but getting solid XP rates, and maybe even some AFK factor in there. I'm also going to try not to cram a bunch of moneymakers from one skill in there. Like I said, runecrafting has the majority of the high moneymakers. So some of the moneymakers are not going to make it onto this list just because I already had one from that skill that I liked a little bit more. Any of these methods that I have a guide for, I will be throwing the link in the description. To start off the list, I'm bringing one of the only skills that I won't be actually making a money-making guide for in my current series, and that is fletching. In general, I could kind of label this bank standing, which is the main benefit here. Fletching is going to be featured for this bank standing method though. Cutting logs into bows and stringing bows can both make a profit. It's not going to be absurd money by any means, with stringing yew longbows currently maxing out from 200 to 300k at the moment. The level requirement is 70 fletching for yew longbows, which could be done on the first day off of Tutorial Island, given it'd be basically a full day from one fletching. And if we look back at the bank standing point, this is very AFK, and you can multitask really easily while doing it. There's no running involved, so you just have to bank quickly between inventories, and that means there's really not any consequences if you're looking away for too long and your character stops making bows. You're always right at the bank, so you're always only a few seconds away from just starting another inventory. In the number 9 spot, we're going to go even further down the AFK path with Cannonballs. Any AFK moneymaker is always a plus for me, but it also tends to mean it doesn't make quite as much money per hour, and that's why this is only number 9, not at the top of the list. You do need to complete the Dwarf Cannon quest and 35 smithing to make these. Cannonballs are the most AFK content in the game. It not only takes a few minutes per inventory, but it's very consistent in timing. Unlike woodcutting or fishing, you never know when your character is going to stop fishing or the tree is going to be done when you're chopping. With Cannonballs, each inventory takes the same amount of time. Cannonballs had been slowly dropping in price for a while, which wasn't helping their overall profit, but they had a bit of a resurgence recently, getting back to a little over 200 coins a piece. Either way, the profit's always been there though, and it's currently sitting at just over 200k an hour. Cannonballs are probably the best alt money-making method for someone who's never used an alt before, but is hoping to get one going for some extra cash. It takes very little effort, and the money is going to add up over time. At number 8, I've got a magic method in Tele Tabs. Making Tele Tabs still has some AFK factor in there, but it also has a great balance of getting magic XP without having to spend a lot of money, which is usually the norm for mage XP. Mage XP can be very expensive. Tele Tabs do require you to have a lector in your house, which requires a small construction level, but overall the requirements are still very low for these. Usually house teleports are the most sought out tab, making them the best profit, and at the moment you can make around 350k an hour off of these tabs, but sadly you're only going to get around 20k XP an hour from house tabs because there's not a lot of XP per teleport. Even when you use teleports that are going to give more XP, you're not going to see a ton, maybe 40 to 50k magic XP an hour max. This is very low requirement though, it's pretty AFK, and it does make a decent profit, so you shouldn't be expecting very fast XP rates in general. This is a good balance for training magic and making money, especially for mid-levels like 50s, 60s, and even 70s. In the number 7 spot, I'm moving on to a mining method, and we're going with mining Amethyst, which again has a bit of that AFK factor. This is a pretty high requirement method since you do need 92 mining to get started, and not a lot of folks love to train mining. There is a pretty good balance on this method though. Of course we have that AFK factor. I'm going to have to bring it up anytime that it's there. These rocks take forever to mine, so you get a lot of time between each rock normally. You still need to pay some attention, since unlike Motherlode Mine, which almost made it on this list, you only get one rock per ore unless you're wearing superior mining gloves. The profit from Amethyst varies a little bit since it's a low amount of supplies per hour at a remotely high price, so even only a few rocks per hour can make a little bit of a difference. In general, anywhere from 200k to 400k an hour is very doable, especially with a Dragon or Crystal Pickaxe and that Varrock Armor 4. The odds per ore on getting a Rock Golem are not very bad either, and the Mining Pet's one of my favorite skilling pets in the game, so that's a bonus for me. I'm a big fan of gem rocks for mining moneymakers too, which can make a little bit more profit than Amethyst, but I did end up going with Amethyst on this list because I use it a little bit more for that AFK factor. It was a bit of a toss-up though. For number 6 on the list, we're moving to Astral Runes, which will be the only runecrafting moneymaker on here. Runecrafting is an unpopular skill to train, but there's a ton of money-making potential. I'm a fan of Abyss runecrafting with Natures, Wrath runes can make a huge profit, and Zaya runecrafting is great for that AFK life, but I didn't want to take up like 3 spots on this list just with runecrafting, so I have chosen Astral Runes. First of all, I'm talking about making double Astrals. If I were anywhere under 82 runecrafting, I would not choose to make these, and I'd probably stick to Nature runes. Astral runecrafting does require lunar diplomacy too, since the altar is located on the lunar isle. Overall, making astral runes is pretty chill. You only need to click a couple of times to get to the altar, especially if you're playing on full screen with RuneLite's GPU plugin. Astral runes have some of the best GP to XP rates in the game for runecrafting. Most runecrafting is very slow in terms of XP, but Astrals can manage a little over 30k an hour, which is similar to Blood runes and better than Nature runes. The profit here is pretty great too. It's possible to make up to 8,000 Astrals an hour using 4,000 Essence, which currently profits a little over 1.5 mil an hour, since Astrals are doing pretty good right now price-wise. Even when they're down in price though, I've really never seen double Astrals make less than a mil an hour. Charging Orbs is going to be my second magic method on this list, and it's a bit of an upgrade from Tele Tabs. There's 4 different orbs to charge. You have air, earth, water, and fire. I'll be focused mostly on fire orbs for this conversation, though they all work very similarly. To charge fire orbs, you do need 63 magic, and 80 agility is going to make a huge difference with that solid shortcut. Keep in mind, in general, for any money-making method that there's a lot of running involved, higher agility is going to help you a lot. Charging orbs can be a little AFK. Obviously, you have to run to the bank, which isn't AFK, but once you're charging the orbs, you can sit back and relax a little if you'd like. You also can use the spell manually on each orb to speed things up if you don't care about that AFK factor. This will give you a little bit more money and XP an hour. The XP is not that much better than Tele Tabs, but this is better than House Tabs by a good percent, and the money is very solid too, usually landing anywhere from 500k to 600k an hour. There's also the 4 different orbs, so you have different choices depending on your stats, or maybe you don't want to run into the Wildy for air orbs. In general, charging orbs gives you options with AFK or click intensive. You've got the different orbs, and the requirements are pretty damn low in general for how much money it makes. This was my number 1 moneymaker in my original Road to 100 mil a few years back, if I remember correctly, and even though it's slowly dropped down a little bit on this list, I am still a fan of charging orbs for cash. At number 4, just missing the top 3, we've got Minnows. Minnows require 82 fishing and the angler's outfit to get to the docks to fish them. This is one of the few skilling money-making methods that isn't that bad right when you get the level to unlock it, which is kind of a bonus. Minnows are a little bit more fast-paced than other fishing, overall making them more click-intensive, but still not difficult in any way, and it's very possible to multitask while you catch them. The ratio of GP to XP is one of the best in the game for fishing. The XP rates are a little bit under barbarian fishing, assuming you're not 3-ticking barbarian fishing, but every 40 minnows you catch, you can trade in for a shark, which is far quicker than just catching sharks with a harpoon. Sharks have also had a good resurgence recently in terms of price. They've kind of gone back to where they were. Right when minnows came out, we did flood the game a little with sharks, making this not as great in terms of profit, but still overall, the profit range is anywhere from 300 to 600k an hour, depending on your level, how much attention you're paying, and what that price is going to look like when you sell it, obviously. I've got far too many hours on minnows, mostly thanks to my hardcore Iron Man, and fishing is the most nostalgic skill in the game for me, so maybe I'm a little biased, but overall, there's a solid balance of minnows with their quick GP to XP, their click intensity compared to AFK, and overall, the good requirements put this at number 4 on my list. To start my top 3, I have a fairly interesting moneymaker, I guess, in catching Implings. This is possibly going to be the most controversial one on the list. There's a couple ways to make money with catching Implings, which you may have heard me talk about if you watched my Make Money with Hunter guide. Catching and collecting imps is pretty consistent cash with a low hunter requirement, but it's also a lot more frustrating and far less exciting than just searching for high-level implings like dragon imps. The money you make per hour clearly varies a lot when you're searching for those dragon implings. Even 2 more or 2 less dragon implings an hour is like a 600k plus difference in profit. If you're grabbing things like the natures, the magpies, and the ninja implings while you're looking for dragons, that's going to make a little bit of profit too, so it's not all dependent on dragon implings, but they clearly make the biggest difference. Actually finding a dragon impling is very exciting too, which is a factor that isn't super common for skilling. It's kind of like that PVM feeling where you finally get that good rare drop, compared to just fighting a monster that you only make money off of the 100% guaranteed drops. You do have to deal with other players often, but if a little competition is going to get in your way, I guess you could choose a different method. I'm definitely a little biased on this one. Again, in this case, I was a little jealous as a kid of people who could actually catch dragon implings. And then when I finally got my hunter level to go do this, it turned out it was a lot of fun. So I've been into it ever since. Coming in second, we do have Chinchompas. I know this does make 2 hunter methods in a row, but apparently hunter makes pretty good money, and I guess I don't hate it. 2 out of 3 of my top 10 skilling moneymakers are hunter, huh? There are 3 different types of Chinchompas, but I'll be focused on the red ones since they do make great cash, but also don't require me to hang out in the wilderness. Chinchompas are not AFK by any means, and that might surprise you since it's so high up on the list, and I'm usually such a fan of AFK, but if you want to make a lot of money, you normally don't get as many AFK options. Right at 63 hunter, Chinchompas can be a little bit frustrating to catch. The money's pretty good still for such a low requirement, but when you hear people are making over $1 million an hour here, they're not talking about bare minimum requirements. These are a popular method for making cash, which means it can be a bit crowded. I rarely find it takes more than a couple minutes max to find a world though, and ever since they made the requirement for box traps, you have to do the Eagle's Peak quest now. You don't get crashed nearly as often, there's not nearly as many bots around, so it is better than it used to be. If you complete the hard Western Province Diaries, you unlock the Red Chinchompa Hunting Grounds, which helps you out with finding a world, and there's a ton of Chinchompas in this cave, so it also increases your rates when you're in there too. You can also go hard with a 3-tick option, increasing your GP an hour by a lot, and the XP rates here are already pretty fast, so anybody who's looking for 99 Hunter won't be here forever just because they're trying to make money along the way. Chinchompas happen to be a little more expensive at the moment than normal, which does help the cash here, but overall, there is always a high demand for Chinchompas, so it'll be a long time before this isn't a good moneymaker. There's also one of the cooler skilling pets in the game involved here. You can change the color of your Chinchompa pet to be gray, red, or black. It just chooses one at random, and every time you change the color, there's a small chance that it'll actually turn into a gold Chinchompa, which basically is like having a Pikachu behind you. There's really good XP rates and GP rates here. The click intensity is a good balance of actually having to play the game, but not being a pain in the ass. And we have that beautiful pet that gives a little bit of bonus points, so that puts this at number 2 on my list. And finally, at number 1 on my top 10 skilling moneymakers, I've got a minigame, the Blast Furnace. The Blast Furnace is a smithing minigame that not only can make bars much faster than a normal furnace, but it also uses only half the coal that a normal furnace would, which increases your profit by a whole lot. You need to start the Giant Dwarf quest for access to the furnace, which is very simple. You can do it basically right off Tutorial Island, and you only need 30 smithing to make steel bars, which is some of the best profit you can make here. Below 60 smithing, it's a little more annoying to use the furnace since you do have to pay the foreman every 10 minutes, but the profits are still way better than most methods that have low requirements like this one, so it is very worth it. A coal bag and ice gloves will increase your profit here by a lot, and since there's a lot of running involved, you are going to benefit by having full graceful and high agility. Rune bars are normally the best profit here, but that can change depending on prices, obviously. If you're looking for a more in-depth breakdown on how much money, or at least how many bars you can make per hour, I do have a Blast Furnace guide, which is linked in the description. I usually expect at least $1 million an hour here from rune bars. I find that to be around a minimum, and even the steel bars are pretty consistently 500k plus an hour. If you get them at the right time, I've seen the steel bars even pass rune bars. You can just make so many an hour. Steel bars are so quick that just a little bit of increase in profit per bar makes you a lot of money. The XP rates here aren't that bad either, ranging from 50k to 100k an hour depending on which bar you're using. This is one of my most suggested moneymakers when I'm asked what should be done early game for cash. Even if you already have a lot of money, this really isn't a bad way to keep your profits going. It's a little repetitive, it's not very AFK at all, but a lot of skilling moneymakers are repetitive, so I guess that's how it works in general. Mostly it's the low requirements and a lot of money that puts this at the number 1 spot for me. I believe that's everything I wanted to talk about when it comes to my top 10 skilling moneymakers, everybody. There's a ton of different methods out there to choose from, and if you're There are a ton of different methods out there to choose from if you're a fan of skilling. I do have a video series I've been doing for each skill, showing different ways to make money if you're interested in finding more skilling moneymakers. Thank you for watching this video, everybody. If you enjoyed the video or you just got some useful information out of it, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content. I do stream on Twitch, I am on Twitter, and I have a Discord, which all links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and best of luck on your grind.